to everyone. I am Professor Raja, working as Assistant Professor, EC Department, SNS College of Technology, and Autonomous Institution, Coimbatore. In this YouTube video, I am going to discuss about 23 ECET 221 Microprocessor Microcontroller subject under the topic 8259 Interrupt Controller. In my previous YouTube video, I discussed what is meant by 8259 Interrupt Controller and what are the classifications in this, and the pin diagram explanations are completed. Now I am going to discuss about how this 8259 is working. Let's move on to the video. So the main purpose of 8259 is to provide a interrupt processor whenever the microprocessor is needed. So when the 8259A is in buffered mode, this pin is an output that controls the data bus transceivers in a large microprocessor-based system. When the 8259A is not in buffered mode, this pin programs the device as a master 1 and a slave 0. That is, depend upon the master and slave, they can be opted or operated in a master-slave operations. CAS2 to CAS0, the cascaded lines are used as outputs from the master to the slaves for cascading multiple 8259As in a system. So this figure shows how the PIC block diagram is working. So if you see this figure, the data bus buffer will connect the 8259A with the microprocessor through this D0 to D7 pin. The next read-write logic block diagram. It consists of RD bar, WR bar, address line of A0 and chip select of this block. Next one is the cascaded buffer comparator. That is, whenever a microprocessor need an additional interrupt by using this CAS0, CAS1, CAS2, they can add the extra cascaded pins through this block diagram. The next control logic pin. Control logic means either this 8259A will decide either we want to do the interrupt. Once the interrupt is completed, it can send a interrupt acknowledgement signal to the 8086 that whatever the interrupts given by you, that I will complete like that, it will send a message. So this INT and INTA, that is the acknowledgement pin, both are used for interrupt acknowledgements. Now this is the very important block called the interrupt mask register, in-service register, priority resolver and interrupt request register. Now we will see one by one. Now this block, that is from the top block, these signals are used to interface the 8086 microprocessor with the 8259. That is, by using this data bus buffer, read-write logic block and control logic block, the 8259 are interfaced with the 8086 microprocessor. So I already told these blocks are used to interface 8086 microprocessor. Now this chip select, whenever this chip select is 0, then only the 8259 and the 8086 microprocessor connected. Whenever this chip select is 1, there is no connection between 8259 and 8086 microprocessor. So this is the important subsystem that handles all the external interrupt requests from 8259 and 8086. Next the first block. In service register. This block identifies all the current interrupts that are serviced by the processor. That is, this ISR acts as a buffer between the interrupt request register and the 8086. The next one, priority resolver. This block determines the priorities of the bits set in the IRR. That is, whatever the interrupt request register that is given, that priority is defined by this priority resolver. The highest priority is selected and strobed into a corresponding bit of the ISR during INTA pulse. Next one, interrupt mask register. This block masks interrupt lines based on programming by the processor. It prevents masked interrupt lines from interrupting the processor. So this only does at a time only one interrupt that is performed by a microprocessor. Next, this block is a cascaded buffer or a comparator. Based on this CAS0, CAS1, CAS2, we can additionally add more number of interrupt pins to this 8259. So this logic block allows cascading multiple 8259A controllers in a master and slave configuration. So thank you for watching this video. In this YouTube video, I discussed what is in by 8259, the types, and each individual blocks which are used by 8259. That is, this data bus buffer is used for communicating 8086 and 8259. This read-write logic block is used for writing and reading operations through 8259 and 8086. This cascaded buffer block is used for allowing more number of cascading multiple blocks with the 8086 processor with the master and slave configuration. This control logic will provide a control of either they has to accept the interrupt and they provide interrupt acknowledgement pin. And finally, the last one is the interrupt performing block, which is carried out by 4 blocks, that is interrupt in service register, interrupt priority resolver, interrupt request register, and interrupt mask register. Next YouTube video, I will come with a new innovation topic. Thank you for watching my video. Once again, thank you all.